natural pattern for people when they're stressed is this protective mechanism where you curl in on yourself. Your shoulders roll in, protecting literally the front side of your body. You've probably had a lifetime of not using your body in this way, but there's just so much more going on below the surface, and it takes incremental movements to really start to unravel those years of stress and tension on the body. The body, given half a chance, wants to heal. Your body can change. Your posture is not in a neutral alignment. You start moving in your day-to-day in this compromised position. That's where you invite a lot of injury or pain. They go hand in hand beautifully, yoga and chiropractic. They really do work together. I've been seeing a chiropractor since I was a baby. It's a part of my life. It's my maintenance plan. I just move and feel so much better. Being the healthiest, strongest person you can be. It's really nice.
Hey, fitness and health fans. It's time to get your game on and crush it with Coach Margella in another episode of Sporting Good Fitness. Join us for the podcast that will coach you from the sidelines to keep you on your game no matter what health or fitness game you play.
Hey, I'm Coach Margella. I'm Sporting Good Fitness. What are you sporting?
Hey, Coach Margella. What do you have for us today?
Hey, everyone. This is Coach Margella here with another episode of Sporting Good Posture. I'm here today with Kyle Casserly, and she is a yoga studio owner. She owns the Hot Room here in Cool Springs. On here today, she's actually been a patient of mine for a number of years. And today's episode is going to be the posture of yoga. And I just wanted to introduce you and just, talk a little bit about yourself, about how you got into the yoga studio about 4 years ago.
Thanks, Dr. Frank. It's great to be here with you. I discovered yoga probably over a decade ago, and it was always something that appealed to me just from a mental standpoint. I thought, gosh, I want to look like that. And it wasn't just like having a physical look of what a yogi looked like, because I think people have a stereotype of that, but I wanted that peace of mind and that ease in your body, and you just look at someone and they walk, and they just walk a little bit taller, and it seems they walk a little bit prouder, and I think it's just kind of pulling back all the layers of years of bad posture, stress, a lifetime of things kind of compound, and yoga seemed to undo a lot of that for me. So that's kind of what brought me to it. And then specifically hot yoga just added a nice challenge.
Well, you mentioned a few things there that I definitely wanted to dive into. You did talk about posture in general. So what have you noticed as far as people doing yoga? What have you noticed about some of the stress that they have on their spine and on their body in general?
I know just listening to some of your other podcasts, you talked about sitting is the new smoking. We're sitting at desks. We're sitting on the couch. We're hunched over phones. I think they have a nickname for it now, the eye spine, which is just, it's true. You're just curled over a phone. And so a lot of what we do in yoga, obviously, is setting up good posture from the beginning, and then we move our classes through the full range of motion of the body, good foundation, the good alignment that you set up from the beginning of class. We do a lot of backward bending, which helps to kind of counteract all that shortness and tension that you create on the front side of the body by being in a hunched position through a lot of the day. So,
is that what you find with people, is that they're kind of hunched and their posture's off? So it's the biggest thing you have to work on with people?
Yeah, we get a lot of folks with lower back pain, obviously. A lot of things that are also stress-related. I think a natural pattern for people when they're stressed is kind of this protective mechanism where you curl in on yourself. Your shoulders roll in. You're protecting literally the front side of your body. And I think with yoga, you learn to stand a little bit taller. You roll the shoulders back more. You're more upright position. So you start to unravel all those things. And they may feel uncomfortable at first because it is so tight on the front.
I agree with you on that because I've actually done some yoga and both regular and hot yoga. And I noticed that me being a former football player and just lifting heavy weights that, it was harder for me to do some of the poses and some of the stretches because I felt like my posture wasn't good enough and I also was kind of tight. What's the hardest thing that you find that they're doing that they need to work on?
I think a lot of people, like you said, kind of come in, with a background maybe in sports and that they were really always just lifting heavy weights or running or cycling a lot, and they didn't really do stretching, which is so important. So they'll come in with, really tight hamstrings, tight shoulders, tight chest. It's challenging for them. And I think the hardest part for people is just to be persistent and to be patient with your body, and knowing that, you've probably had a lifetime of not using your body in this way. So I think people can come in a little bit impatient, and sometimes folks don't see it as immediate as they're looking for an outcome to a posture. They're looking to create a shape, but there's just so much more going on below the surface, and it takes, incremental movements to really start to unravel, those years of stress and tension on the body. Mostly, I think it's the mind that gets in the way.
Tell me a little bit more about that mind-body connection. What do you see with that as well?
Especially with the type of yoga that we do, we have a teacher that's leading you through things, and we're just giving you the words to get you in and out of it. And so the idea is that you just let the mind kind of rest and just let the words guide your body. And I think when you can kind of get out of the way, the body, given half a chance, wants to heal. The body is so smart. So there's that side of it, but then there's also the belief and knowing that, okay, if I just keep trying, if I can just commit to this, things really do start to change, and you have to believe it. And I think that's where, it's nice to have a great teacher that will be there and support you and encourage you to keep trying and keep going. Gosh, there's tons of things that I could relate to the mind-body connection, but I think that's a big one, is just believing that your body can change. Your body can really heal itself.
Yeah. And definitely in general with health, that's a big factor. What you think is what's going to happen. There was a quote by Henry Ford: if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right as well.
I think another part of it too is, our mind is the thing that creates our stress and our anxiety. Now you've created this big bundle of stress in your body, and it affects your breathing. And then, now your breathing is compromised. You're creating tension in the neck, your back, your shoulders. And so now your posture is not in a neutral alignment. And then you start moving in your day-to-day in this really compromised position. And I think that's where you invite a lot of injury into the body or pain. So it comes back to unraveling the mind a little bit, letting it relax, letting it soften, and then the body really starts to follow.
What do you do when you have people that just kind of hit that sticking point and can't really get beyond that?
Honestly, I think yoga kind of works as a standalone if you're using it for physical fitness as well. You get a really wonderful physical exercise and practice in moving the body in a very intuitive way. When you learn to set up the body in a neutral position, which we always do at the beginning of class, we kind of have you ground down through the feet and set up a nice neutral spine, and then we ask you to move in that space, not letting any of that be compromised to find supposed depth in a posture. So there's teaching your body to be in that and move in that space, in that neutral space. But I think it works in conjunction with any other athletes. It's a nice complement to weightlifting, to biking, to running, just to being a human being. Teaches you how to hold yourself in space. I know this when I'm standing at the stove cooking. Am I slouching? And you kind of just bring awareness back to the body. It's like, okay, let me stand up more upright. Or am I tucking the pelvis? Or am I slouching into one hip? Those things, they seem harmless, but if you're constantly doing them, that's when you invite pain into the body. So if the best that you can do to always have awareness of how you're holding yourself in space, we call it a yoga practice. So you come in and you practice, or, maybe you have a home practice. Everything that you do when you're practicing your yoga, it carries with you off the mat and it carries with you in your day-to-day. So really just helping you to move better in space. That's one of the beautiful things about it. It's something that's within you. You always have it. You don't have to have a teacher telling you exactly how to do it to know that it's working.
That's a good point, because when you do that and you stick with it, you're definitely going to improve, obviously, flexibility, breathing. A lot of people I notice, even when they're working out, they don't breathe correctly, or running. that's a big part. I know with yoga is getting the breathing down. That really helps relieve stress too. If you're breathing properly, if you're actually taking in a deep breath, that goes back to if you're slumping in the desk at work, a lot of people go, well, I'm kind of tired as the day goes on. And if you think about that slump that you're in, you're not taking full breaths all day. Take a deep breath when you're slumped. Try to do that when you're slumped over. It's just kind of in labors. If you're sitting up straight and you're upright, it's so much easier to breathe in. And just that alone, where you'll get more energy.
It's so powerful. And it's, the one thing that we always have control over. You just have to remind yourself.
So going back to posture, and that's really what I've been honing in on the last number of episodes. Yoga is amazing, and so is, working out's great, CrossFit, and all those things are excellent. But, let's not forget the imbalances in the body, and again, we've gone back to the timeline. Basically, this timeline begins at birth. It just doesn't begin when you've gone to work and sit at a desk, and now all of a sudden you have these problems. It's really an accumulation from birth to you trying to walk as a toddler, to sitting in school all day, to playing sports, to getting in car wrecks, to then, going to college, and then now sitting at work. It's an accumulation of these problems over the years that's now created these imbalances. So again, you really need to find the source of the imbalances. And posture is, again, that symptom of, if you feel like you're slumping, posture shouldn't be something that you have to actually work on. It should just be something that you're automatically doing, where you're sitting at a desk and your posture is good, where you're standing up, you don't feel like you're slumping and your weight to one side. It just needs to be correct. And when people do yoga, it's also important that you are balanced, because anybody that maybe starts yoga that hasn't been doing those kind of movements in a while could actually cause some injuries due to those imbalances that are underlying. Whether they hurt or not, there's usually something going on in there. And I was going to ask Kyle here, what have you felt after doing some chiropractic and combining it with the yoga? What have you felt kind of combining the two things together?
One of the things that I love is just having that awareness of having an outsider's perspective, of course, and a professional, obviously. Okay, hey, your right hip is sitting a little bit higher, or maybe you're twisting in a little bit on the left side. Having that understanding of the way that you're holding your body, sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can feel it, but not always. To have that kind of professional diagnosis, and then I can take that information, and now I'm on my yoga mat, and I'm like, you know what? I can feel now that, oh yeah, my left hip does turn in a little bit, and now I can move a little bit more with ease in the rest of my yoga postures. So they really go hand in hand to be able to hold my adjustment better. Or now that I've increased a little bit more flexibility, or my body is a little bit more supple and relaxed, I can hold the adjustment better. So they go hand in hand beautifully, yoga and chiropractic. Hey, these things, they really do work better together. And I've been seeing a chiropractor since I was a baby, like an infant. So
that's so cool to hear that.
Yeah, it is a part of my life. It's a part of my, it's my maintenance plan. So I always have that to fall back on, of like, okay, hey, if you're kind of compromising in an area, having that professional eye on my body and knowing, okay, this is something that I can now address. I just move and feel so much better.
You make some great points there, especially with yoga and even just working out in general. There's so many times where you do these things and there's actually mirrors around. If you're out there and you're working out and you're looking in the mirror and something just doesn't seem right, maybe one shoulder's higher than the other, maybe your head kind of tilts to one side, maybe, like Kyle was saying, that your, hip is higher on one side, and you can see it. So, take a look in the mirror, just see how your posture looks. You can see what your posture looks like. And if you're veering off to one side, or if you feel like you're not going down as far in your squats, you can see that in the mirror. There's definitely something underlying in there, whether it's coming from your feet, your knees, your back. There's something misaligned in there. And, there's an imbalance that's creating that. And it's easy to see if you actually pay a little bit of attention to it. And that's something that just, you at home, even, when you're in your house getting ready in the morning for work, just look in the mirror, just look at your posture, see if those imbalances are there, see if, if your head's going forward and there's some unlevelness to that. It's something worth getting checked out. So with yoga, just like physical therapy is excellent for injuries and muscle and things like that, yoga is awesome as far as balance. and as far as working on the core. And it's something I recommend to a lot of my patients. Once they've gotten their imbalances checked, now they can really excel working out or doing yoga or things like that, because now they're not going to be injury prone, and you're not going to really have to worry about getting hurt, because now your body is in a good position. Your posture is better, and really with yoga you can work on your core strength and work on your posture even more so, as far as strengthening those muscles, but also the mental side of it. The mind-body connection, it really makes a difference. And if you're mentally strong as well as physically strong, you're going to have more success in life as far as sports are concerned, or just physical fitness, but just also having a better mental attitude. You're going to be healthier. You living in a positive state of mind, and that's a huge part of being healthy. And yoga is a great way to really establish that and put it into good practice. So overall, yoga is really a powerful tool. If you stick with it, you're really going to excel, and you're going to see the benefits, like Kyle said, in all aspects of your life, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually. It really helps you just be, the better you, and it's a powerful tool to get you there.
I think just being able to work together and know that it takes a village sometimes. It takes a few different things, like you were saying, recommending physical therapy, or chiropractic, or massage, or, these all really do work together. And I think having kind of a team, of people that support you on your journey to being the healthiest, strongest person you can be, it's really nice. So
I do work with personal trainers in the area, yoga studio, with you, and physical therapy and other things in the area just to go along with it. And I can assess some of the imbalances, and work on some of the things that I see to help them strengthen areas that may be, weak or just unbalanced in general. And it does take a village. It helps when there's multiple people, looking at the same person to help really figure out how to get that better.
Yeah. There's not always a one-size-fits-all approach. But, I've got several people that are working through hip replacement surgery, recovery, and knees and things like that. So they have their physical therapy, they see their massage, they see their chiropractic. So it all works together. So Kyle, if you could just talk to our listeners here and let them know, how they can, reach out to you, how they can follow you, if you could just give us some of that information. Yeah, so our website is the Hot Room TN, like Tennessee.com. You can go on there, sign up. We've got a brief questionnaire kind of just to get to know you a little bit more. So you can sign up through the website. You can follow us on the socials. Our handle's the Hot Room TN on all of those. Or you can call us at the studio, and that's 615-457-3075.
So once someone cleared for takeoff, what would be the first step of someone doing yoga?
We tell people the hardest posture that they're going to do is just walking through the door. So just show up. Your body is perfect as it is. We just do the best you can with, the body you bring in each day. It's a little different every time you walk in. So come with a willingness to try. And if you want to try it, you can actually come in. We've got an intro special that if you mention the podcast, we'll give you $49 for 2 weeks of unlimited yoga. So that's a really great way just to dive in and get your feet wet with it and see how it feels in your body.
That is awesome. Well, thank you for doing that for the listeners. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to thank you, Kyle, for being on the show today and all the great advice you gave and just really the insight on yoga. And I've learned a lot myself. So thank you again for doing that for us.
Well, it's a real pleasure to be with you today.
So thanks for listening today to another episode of Sporting Good Posture. Remember, the coach's door is always open. This is Coach Margella. I'm Sporting Good Posture. How about you?
Thank you, Coach Margella, for another thrilling episode.
Sporting Good Fitness is a broadcast wellness production powered by Ideal Health and Wellness Center in Franklin. Executive producer, Frank Sardella. Dr. Margella appears courtesy of Ideal Health and Wellness Center, copyright 2018, all rights reserved. For more information, visit sportinggoodfitness.com.
Still have a landline, so you can reach us that way.
I got one of those too. Still works.
Yeah.
It's not a rotary, right?